then Thursday, I did the. I don't remember exactly what kind of show that was. It was I was like unannounced, but there was
It
a
was a
big
the WrestleCon Super Show.
yeah, WrestleCon Super Show.
Super.
Yeah, exactly. So and that was at oh gosh, I don't know, it was sort of a pretty big arena there, and the place was completely sold out, and they had this wrestler named Joey Ryan. Now you know Joey Ryan, right? I mean,
Right.
I'll be perfectly honest with you. I mean, I don't get the. I mean, I do quite a bit of independent shows, and but Joey Ryan was one guy I had heard of him, but I didn't. I'd never met him, and had not a real big idea of what his wrestling gimmick was. But I found it out that night when I got there, and they had told me. Well, actually, they had told me beforehand. They said we're going to have this guy go out and dressed as Andy Kaufman, and he's going to go and do the exact same stick as Andy did, and then he was going to challenge some women out of the audience like Andy did, and then all of a sudden they were going to play my music, and nobody knew that I was going to be there at all. And then all of a sudden I was going to come out and challenge this guy to a match like Andy and I did. And this was on the exact anniversary, and I guess that's probably why they did it. It was on the exact anniversary of the same day of that. I think 35 years ago that I had actually dropped Andy on his head at the Mid-South Coliseum.
The reaction was great when you came out. It was the place blew up.
Oh, I mean, without a doubt. I mean, this was, and partly because of what this was, WrestleCon is this huge event that goes on every year in conjunction with WrestleMania week, because there's so many thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of people that come into the city, whatever city WrestleMania is in every week, that there's a ton of stuff to do with WWE and access and all of the appearances that the WWE people make. But then there's so many more people there that there's a lot more stuff that goes on. There are other different groups putting on wrestling shows. There's the WrestleCon, the autograph sessions and everything. That thing was unbelievable. I mean, I saw every wrestler that I've ever seen in my career at these things, at the WrestleCon autograph signing and stuff. But anyway, yeah, and I think one of the reasons that the response was so good for this wrestling match was, I think most people knew that this was like, I don't know how to say it. These are sort of like independent guys. I mean, the guy made a big speech at the beginning of, how you people, we love that you support independent wrestling like that. Because most of these guys, well, none of them really were signed by WWE. They were either ex-WWE wrestlers or independent guys that were hoping to make it to WWE someday. But me, all of a sudden coming out, I mean, here's a WWE guy, right? So it did get a big response, and then it went along perfect with the fact that it was the Andy Kaufman, and the guy was doing the Andy Kaufman shtick. Now you go ahead and tell them what this Joey Ryan, what his shtick and his I don't know, I guess his gimmick, what it's about.
So I'm not a huge Joey Ryan fan. I'm like, Jim Cornette hates Joey Ryan. And
he hates him with passion.
He hates the whole gimmick with Joey Ryan is that his penis, and earmuffs for the children listening. His penis is like no pun.
It's impervious.
It's impervious.
It's like a super something. I don't know.
It's an extension, no pun intended, of his wrestling moves, his wrestling repertoire. And if someone grabs it, he has some sort of power to. He hulks up. I don't want to say the word, but he hulks up, and the person.
It's totally ridiculous. That's why Jim Cornette hates it. But it has caught on in the fact that, I mean, he's like it's so absurd that nobody else would think to do it, but he does it, and it has caught on. He's got his own I mean, he's got his own following. And you know what? You probably don't realize this, but you had told me something that he even has a porn website or something. But you know his whole shtick is he looks like Harry Reams. Do you ever remember who Harry Reams was?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, he was back in the day. He was like the big male porn star, and he's got the. You've heard people talk about porn mustaches, right?
Oh yes.
Well, that's what Joey Ryan has. He looks like Harry Reams, and so,
free mustache rides for the ladies.
oh please. So anyway, that's who Joey Ryan was. So I came out, and the great thing about it was I didn't know all about this stick until I got there, getting ready for the match, and Shane Helms comes in, and he was kind of the agent for this match, and so he's the one that explained it to me about what this guy does, and I went, oh, really?
Yeah.
So
his penis is able to flip basically flip a guy over or woman, because ladies have grabbed it and taken a bump from his penis. So it's that's what happens. So his penis is it's ridiculous, and that's I don't really buy into it because it's not,
ridiculous. You're right. It's totally ridiculous.
Not for everybody. It's a comedy.
But I did. It was a comedy bit, and I saw an opportunity to have some fun with it. I wasn't going to touch his penis or anything like that, which I explained to Shane Helms. But we came up with, or I basically came up with what I thought would be a good little thing, and so it worked out. He was out in the ring. He did all the stuff about insulting women. He had challenged a woman to come to the ring. Boom! They played my music. Out I come. Now this is just, I did tell Shane. I said, this may give me another stroke having this kind of match with this kind of guy. But I come out to the music, and he's standing in the ring. Of course, he's like flabbergasted that here's the King, all of a sudden showing up with him dressed like Andy Kaufman. So then he stops and he says, well, wait a minute. He said, let me tell you something, King. I know Andy Kaufman was scared of you, and there's a good reason, because you tried to drop him on his head and tried to break his neck and everything, but I'm not scared of you. And the reason I'm not scared of you is because in this state of New Orleans, the pile driver is illegal. Mm-hmm. Which was that they had just that would just been in the news or something with these independent athletic commissions, which they did have an athletic commission and doing all that stuff there. So he said, so you can't pile drive me, Lawler. So what are you going to do? Huh? What are you going to do, Lawler? And I'm just standing there looking at him. And then all of a sudden he spreads his arms out. He spreads his legs open, and he said, you know what I want you to do, Lawler? Mm-hmm. He said, I want you to touch my, he didn't say penis.
What?
Yeah. And so, unbelievable. I'm telling you, I could not believe the response that got. I mean, this place was sold out. Every person was standing on their feet when he said that. It was like, come on, Lawler, touch my, and he kept going, and the people were they were going crazy, right? And so I still had my crown in my hand. I walk over and I get a little bit closer to him, and I give him the eye, and then I rear back and I give him a shot. I give him a kick right to the groin area, right? Mm-hmm. And he's like Superman. There's the super penis, right? He didn't even sell it at all, right? So I'm just like,
you said penis.
Yeah. Oh God, excuse me. And so then the people, they roared, and then he's standing there like all great and everything, and the people. I mean, it was such a crazy response. It wasn't like they were for him. They were for me, but they were loving the gimmick that he did right there, right? So then he says, "Come on, Lawler, touch it," So I get a little closer again, and then all of a sudden, I shot this big fireball out and hit him right in the penis. a big fireball, right? He falls down on the floor. He starts hopping around. He's going crazy, and I'm jumping up and down, holding my hands up. He falls out onto the floor, and he's checking his package there and all this sort of stuff. And so, and then just like in the match with Andy, where the referee, of course, I had my hand raised like I had won the match because I did something bad to his stuff there, and he's out on the floor laying down. But the referee disqualified me. He's not. I mean, you can't use a pile driver, and you can't throw fire on somebody's junk either. So anyway, so I got disqualified just like Andy did, or Andy won by disqualification down in Memphis, and so. Anyway, the place was scrambled. All of a sudden, these people now, this was the end of the match. The only person that had taken a bump was him from the fireball, and the whole place started chanting, 6-star match, 6-star match. Oh, Jesus Christ, this is crazy. So then I get back to the back. He crawls back in the ring, and he's standing there, and he opens his tights up, and he looks down into his tights, and he says, I want you to know that my penis is fine. And he closes back up, and then he goes out. So that's, it was a funny thing. And I mean, I'm telling you, I couldn't believe how much response and how many people talked about that crazy match. But I haven't heard Jim Cornette's what his response was to it yet. But anyway, it was kind of funny.
Well, that's the definition of a fire crotch.
You're not kidding.
I'm not sure, King.
Also, somebody wrote on there, says, this is the true definition of great balls of fire.
Oh, God. But I think all the times of people have grabbed his crotch or he had his penis involved with a match, I think you're the first person to ever get over on his penis before.
Yeah, that's what he said. That was the first time his penis ever sold.
But I think the best part of it and watching the video was your reaction, and you hopped up and down like this is Jerry Lawler from 30 years ago. He's like a little kid. He's hopping up and down. That was a great reaction. And knowing that you just had a stroke, a week before, and here you are hopping up and down like, Jerry Lawler's 35 years old again. That was great to see.